Hi, welcome to CraftQuest on Call. I'm Ryan Iron. This is episode 18, where the first and third Thursday of the month, I and my co-host Andrew Welch. Hello, Andrew.
Oh, I was just doing some exercises. Hello, Ryan. How are you doing?
Good. We go live first and third Thursday of the month, and we answer questions, talk about stuff in web development, craft, maybe other random stuff. Prepping. We should talk about prepping. So we missed the last live stream because of the ice apocalypse here in Texas. And I tweeted that my office, where I'm at right now, I didn't have power, didn't have heat, internet, so we couldn't do the live stream. I did fortunately have that stuff at home, but the whole like rig for live streaming is here.
How was your go bag, Ryan? How useful was your go bag full of cash in the middle of the ice apocalypse is what I want to know, Ryan.
I didn't have to go anywhere. So in fact, we tried to help as many people as we could that were without power. Like water ran out in Austin. I know someone that lives in a neighborhood that's at the top of a hill, and they were one of the first in their area to lose water and one of the last ones to get it back because of gravity. So we tried to help people out by bringing water to people that needed water. Not so much for drinking as much as for things like flushing toilets, you know? So
yeah.
But anyway,
you didn't answer the question. How useful was your go bag full of cash, Ryan?
Well, so
in this actual real world emergency, how prepared were you, and how good was your little go bag? Tell me.
Yeah, no, not very useful. So what I did do though is I did talk to some people that live on the West Coast and that have lived in like earthquake areas and got some tips for like the preparedness that's just sort of like everyday life there. So I do now have long-term water storage, only 21 gallons. So it's like 3 7-gallon containers that I have filled up, stored in a building out behind my house.
You're just giving the zombies a reason to attack you, Ryan.
A little, open up my OPSEC here. So I'm improving a little bit. Now, a lot of people were, I think, completely caught off guard in Texas because we're not used to losing power, but losing power in like frigid temperatures. It went from, I wrote this in the CraftQuest newsletter, that it went from 9 degrees Fahrenheit to like 80 degrees Fahrenheit, like in a week. And so we're just not used, like 9 degrees Fahrenheit is unheard of. Like there's people's pipes were freezing, pipes breaking, people were losing water because of that. There are water main breaks and all sorts of stuff. So anyway, but we were fortunate. I didn't need the generator that I purchased that a certain home improvement store sold out from under me. So that was good. I think I'm hopeful that the person that did get that generator actually needed it. They actually did lose power and needed the generator. So I'm hopeful that was the case. And I'm no longer upset about that. So.
Sucks. I can't ask to borrow your generator.
Well, I'm gonna get one for the house. We talked about this like with like natural gas power generators or gas power generators.
That's what I've got.
That automatically flip on, or where you update your main panel to where you can actually turn off the grid power and run off the generator.
It's called a whole home transfer switch, and it's what I've got at my house. Yeah. So we lose power. It's down for a couple of seconds, and then you hear like the switch pop.
Yep.
Generator goes on and it fires, and everything just works. It's amazing.
Right by my office here, actually, if just this back wall of my office is the back wall of a television station, and every Monday morning at like 9:30 in the morning, they have these 2 huge like truck-sized generators. They power them on for their weekly tests. And I think they were actually powered by generator power for about, I think my power here was only out for like 24 hours at my office, because we have, at the end of the street, there's a fire station. So this is called like a critical circuit where they didn't turn those people off. Anyway, everybody's tired of hearing about Texas. So let's move on to some stuff. What do we got going on today, Andrew? I think that we had one request. Someone had asked about your local development environment for deving plugins, Craft plugins. Yep. So we wanted to give an overview of that today, as well as questions from the community, whether they're on Stack Exchange. I actually got one in that I wanted to start with. I'm just going to pull it up on my laptop real quick. It came in just before the show, so I haven't had a chance to do anything else with it.
Oh, God. Okay.
Andrea says that we're reminding her to buy 3 days worth of drinking water. Yeah, I forget what the formula is. It's like a quarter of a gallon per person per day. And depending on like earthquake zones, obviously you need, a lot more water. They say like up to 2 weeks or something like that. But
yeah, my plan is just to buy a gun, and then I'm just going to walk over to Ryan's house and tell Ryan to give me his 22 gallons.
21. I'm
going to squeeze the other gallon out of you, Ryan.
Yeah. I also got some other stuff, but we'll do our prepper podcast. We'll have Matt Stein on, talk about prepping stuff.
Oh, God.
He's gonna hate me. All right, let's start with a question. Oh, someone just honked their horn out there. All right, here's a question. Andrew, I like these big picture questions, because I think they're interesting to talk about. We can do some like detailed in the weed stuff, but the person asked, and I think he has to remain anonymous, but I can't tell from the email. The question is, he asked, for what kind of project would you rather use Laravel or let's just say a framework that rather use that than Craft? And I think we've talked about this before. Like, where's like where's the tipping point to where we would want to not use something like Craft? Because I've seen people implement Craft in ways to where I felt like that it was maybe not really the appropriate choice. But what would be your, like, if you were talking to maybe a potential client and they're like, oh, we want to use Craft for this, and they start listing off the features they want to build or the functionality they need?
Well, let's just start with the basics. Why do we use a CMS? Well, we use it because building everything from scratch every time for every client is silly, because we have this content that we want them to manage. So my bar would be, how much benefit do I get from having a content management system out of the box, right? If there's lots of content to be managed as well as a custom app, sure, Craft would be a great fit. If it's almost all custom app, where's the benefit in using Craft, right? You could just use Yi2 directly if that's your thing, or you could use Laravel directly if that's your thing, So that's really what it would be. Is there some part of this project that has content that needs to be managed? And if so, then yeah, it would be a great choice.
And I had a similar discussion with myself when I was originally coming up with the idea for CraftQuest, and to build it was like, do I do this like in something like, I think Laravel Spark was new at the time. Mm-hmm. I think it's Spark, right? That allows you to do like team stuff and or like a SaaS thing. I can't remember. But anyway,
and there's Nova, which is the CP. There's Laravel Nova, right, which is for making the CP and building all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. So I originally was thinking of something along those lines, but then again, it's like a project by project decision. My decision ended up being, because I was going to use the site to teach Craft, I started to realize the advantage of having the site actually run Craft, because then it could become a source of training content and material, because I'm always going to be working on it. It just made more sense that way. And plus it had commerce and subscriptions and all that was new at the time. So I was able to start to work with that. But yeah, that would be my answer as well.
Well, your site is a no-brainer because there's a lot of content that goes along with the custom app that you're building. So it makes total sense that the content management system would be great, convenient to have one place to log in. The only other time that you might want an app separate from the marketing or brochure or informational site is if you needed scaling for whatever reason, right? So if you needed the app to be able to scale up to handle hundreds of thousands of concurrents, well, then it makes sense to put it off in its own separate thing. It can be in a load balancer, it can be in a Kubernetes cluster, it can be server, like you've got lots of options there for splitting it off. But if it's going to be tightly integrated, Craft is a great system. It's actually super flexible. And I've seen some pretty extensive things built using it effectively.
Excellent. All right. Let's take another question. You ready?
I'm ready. Born ready.
All right. How to convert, this is right up our alley. How to convert custom plugins to custom modules. Interesting. So the person asked, I have 3 custom plugins that someone developed for them. They would like to convert them to modules. Now, since plugins are based upon modules, correct? I was hoping there might be a cookbook out there. I don't think plugins were built using standard plugin scaffolding. All right, you start, Andrew, and then because I just released a module course, and so I'm kind of in that world, and we can talk about the sort of what plugins are in Craft versus modules and so forth. But you go first.
So mistake number 1, I would say, is that the plugins were not built using a standard plugin scaffolding. I think that they should be, and I think that you should use pluginfactory.io. And I'm not saying that because I made it, because I think it does make sense to have a canonical source for this stuff so that, everything is done as correctly as possible. But here's the other thing. I'm not saying that what it generates is perfect, but let's all work together to build something that is closer to perfect, right? So if you find something wrong with the scaffolding that's there, submit a PR and let's get it integrated and let's make it better, instead of everyone making their own custom boutique framework or whatever that they start with. I think that's just a better way to go overall. I still use it when I'm starting a new plugin, man. I've been doing plugins since forever. And whenever I'm starting a new plugin for Craft, I use it to spin it up and do something with it. I think it would be a good idea to do that. It does generate modules too. But if you're thinking about using either writing one from scratch or doing custom stuff, all right, fine. If you really know what you're doing, then I guess write it from scratch. But there is some benefit to things being standardized. And here's a really good example, where it's going to be handed off to developer after developer after developer. And the more similar or standard things are, the easier it's going to be when people are taking a look at it. But in terms of the actual question, in terms of converting from one to the other, every plugin is a module.
Yep.
So all you really have to do to convert it from a plugin to a module is you change the root class of the to just, I think it's just a component or something like that. And then there's just a little bit of extra scaffolding that you have to add back in. And I have done this before where I've gone both ways, where I've converted a module to a plugin to a module. An easy way you can do it is you just generate an empty module on Plugin Factory, and then you just copy over all of the methods from the other thing, and then away you go. That's not going to work here because they have a bespoke implementation of it that, I don't know how custom it is or whatever, but it'll take a little more work to do it. But you can still generate a module from Plugin Factory, see the stuff that it provides, because there are a couple of things that you have to provide for your module that is automatically provided by Craft. So use that as a guide of what you should add into it. And that's really all you would need to do. It really isn't going to be that bad. All the services.
Right. And there was a follow-up comment asking why do you want to do this? And the response was that they don't want that code to be composer dependent, which is one of the reasons that you would use something like a module, is because you want it to be that code to be in the project, statically in the project and not pulled in as a dependency. So that kind of makes sense. I guess that's I worked on a project. I inherited a project once where there was critical code that was included as a module, and I was grateful that it was, because it just made things easier than if it had been a plugin.
Yeah, if It's never something you're going to uninstall. Like if the site won't work without it, it should be a module, probably. You could potentially have it be a plugin when you plan on using it on a bunch of different sites, but a lot of times it's just going to make sense for it to be part of the site itself as a module. Now, when they're talking about being not dependent on Composer, I mean, you're still dependent on Composer, so I guess it depends on what they mean, like what part of that they mean.
I mean, just to run Craft, right? I mean, a standard install.
To use Craft at all, you're using Composer. Yeah. Right. The auto load namespace for your module, you need a line in your composer.json to show the PSR4 mappings. You're using Composer, but I think probably what they mean is they don't want to have to install the plugin, which, okay, right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yep.
And if you, let's say you've got a custom site and you've got a private GitHub repo where you keep the plugin, and the only reason you have a private GitHub repo and the added complexity of using private repos and all that stuff is to pull in this plugin that is only used there. Yeah, man, just make it a module, check it in as code with the rest of the site, and be done with it.
Yep. All right, next question. And I just saw that you posted an answer to this one.
I wanted you to see it live on air. I was hoping to have you scroll down and be like, oh, someone posted it.
No, I did. I was like, oh, because it's happened before where someone posted an answer in between the time when I pulled it up.
I did it on purpose.
I figured you did. All right. Accessing array object attributes in Twig. So this person asked that there's 3 methods for that: object.attribute, so our dot syntax, object, and then accessing like an array via like an array key, and then using a attribute function where you pass in the object and then the attribute that you're after.
Now, before you scroll down, before you scroll down and see whatever that jerk posted and put on there as an answer, is this something that you want me to explain what I did to figure it out, or is it something that you want to actually do and show people how they can figure out what's going on?
Why don't you explain how you figured it out? I started to research it last night, and I didn't have time to finish it. So I'm actually curious how you figured it out.
Sure.
And so let's start there.
Okay. So all Twig code is compiled down to PHP in the end. And then it ends up getting executed, whatever. So if you ever want to know what the difference between something is, just put it in a template, right? So I made a little template, and I did entry.title, and then I did object bracket quote title quote bracket, and then I did, it's not attr, it's actually attribute is the built-in function. So I did attribute entry comma quote title, right? So I put those 3 things in a template. Now here's the issue though. How do you then find the code that is analogous to the thing that you wrote?
Right.
So the way that I do that, this is really low tech, but it works, man, is just above this Twig code, I'll put some text that's unique, like poopy pants, or, just something that doesn't appear anywhere else. It doesn't matter what it is. You can put Ryan's go bag or whatever. And then you reload the page, and that will cause it to reload the template or recompile the template. And then I use PHP Storm, so I do Command-Shift-F, which searches an entire directory. So you go into storage, runtime, compiled templates, and then you search that directory for poopy pants or Ryan's go bag or whatever it is you put. And because of the proximity, because it's right next to this other code, you're going to find the right file. Right. And then you can open it up and you can say, oh, let's take a look at what this actually compiled down to. So scroll down and let's take a look.
We actually did this. I should get the link. We did a live stream not that long ago, right? Where you walk through the compile templates.
That's right. I remember that.
So that came in handy for trying to figure this out. So your answer.
Yep.
So you said entry.title compiles
down. Yep.
To Twig escape filter. All right, why don't you walk through this, explain what this is here.
What? You mean I got to explain it?
Yeah, you have to talk through this code now. You posted it.
So it's running it through the standard Twig escape filter, which is making sure that it's whatever it outputs to the screen is safe. And then it's including the Twig environment.
Okay.
and then it's asking for, it's using this template helper to get the attribute, and it's passing in the environment again, it's passing in the source, and then it's passing in, so the way that variables exist inside of Twig is there's this global called context, and then each variable is just a key in that array, right? So it's checking, is the variable entry set in here, right? Mm-hmm. Or does the array key exist? Like it's basically saying, does this thing exist, right?
Right.
And if it does, then it's outputting the entry. And if it doesn't, it runs a function that throws an error that says, hey, this thing doesn't exist.
Right.
And it points out, and the 19 there is actually the line number.
Yep.
Right. And then this is pointing to the source. So in the compiled templates, it has the original source as well as the PHP that it refers to.
Right.
And so that's what this ends up compiling down to.
Just going to drop the link here in the chat so people can.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right. So
but basically it's doing all of that work to output this thing. It just essentially is, it's looking to see if this variable exists in the context. And if it does, then it's returning the .title attribute of it using the attribute helper. And if it doesn't, then it throws an error. And the error gets handled however it does. And the result of either one of those is passed back through the Twig filter that ends up escaping it and making it safe to display on the front end. Ben Croker saying it's attribute. I'm going to attribute that to Ben Croker.
Are you going to attribute? Oh, I can't even say it now. All right. So entry with accessing the.
No, we're accessing.
Yeah, accessing. What else can we say? What else can we say?
We're accessing the attribute
to trigger Ben.
Oh my God! All the grammar nits are going to go crazy. This is going to be great. I love it. I love it.
Okay. I'm not gonna start an international crisis here on the live stream. So I had all sorts of jokes. I feel like being married to a German. I feel like I'm allowed to make all sorts of European jokes, but maybe not. All right. This example, entry, and then we're accessing the attribute title.
Right.
Isn't this just a key though? Or not?
Yeah, so this is what I think you would call array syntax.
Right.
So it's accessing the key title in the array entry. Whereas the first one would be called object syntax, where you're accessing the property title of the object entry.
Yeah. All right. So I got these side by side, or I got them kind of aligned here. It's all looking the same in the beginning, right? Same way of processing the data.
But interestingly, the objects in Craft that are the models that are they implement something called arrayable, which allows you to then use this array access. So you can use the object syntax or the array syntax. But anyway, we're looking at the compiled code, and this looks kind of suspicious.
It looks kind of the same.
Ryan, I wasn't, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, and I'll pronounce it attribute and attribute depending on what I'm feeling like. But these look the same to me.
They do look the same.
Pretty similar. Yeah.
I wouldn't say similar. I would say exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There's one difference. Let's see how good you are. Oh. There is one difference.
Oh, there is. Oh, okay. Hang on.
Let's see if you can figure it out. Let's see who gets there first.
All right.
Anyone in chat? First? Can you beat Ryan and tell him what the difference is?
Yeah, I see it right here. An array key. No, wait. No. No.
No. Boy, this makes
is it where it throws an error?
Stream.
No. The
line number, Ryan.
The line number is different.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only difference.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh. Because when it's reporting the error, it has to point to the right line number, right?
Right.
Yeah. You know what? And so down there, down below, here's the third one. So there's a built-in Twig function called attribute. Not to be confused with the attribute method, which you can pass in an object and ask it for the attribute to come out of it. And let's take a look at this code.
All right. Hang on. 1 second. So, same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yep.
Array key. So it's just basically checking whether it exists or not, and then it's
all the same.
That's it. It's all the same.
All the same. Yeah.
Huh.
And in fact, if you were to look at the Twig internals, I can almost guarantee you, oh no, the attribute is just hitting on delay.
At least you didn't say like attribute or something.
Attribute. Okay. So, I'm sorry. I'm silly today. But anyway, all three of these things are exactly the same. And the person who submitted the question said he added a comment. So hit show one more comment. Let's see what that additional comment is. Let's get him on screen and on air. All
right, let's see. It says there seems to, however, be some difference for non-existing field entry dot debug is defined returns true, but entry debug is defined returns false with this syntax.
Well, that's not the question you asked. So this will probably compile down to be something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because what is going to end up happening here is the thing on the left is then passed in as an argument to the thing is defined.
Right.
And it may do different stuff depending on what I don't know. I didn't look into that. You can't change the question midstream, okay, man?
Good question though, and that's actually a good sort of look in the sort of
if you wanted to see the difference between these, I would do exactly what I described before. I would put them both in the template. I would put Ryan's go bag in there, and then I would just search for the compiled code and see what it ends up compiling down to, and then you can see the difference.
Yeah, and I was gonna try to bring up that. Wish I could remember the episode of the live stream where we talked about. I'll find the link to it.
Ryan, I don't even remember what color socks I wore today, so I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it was episode 15. It wasn't that long ago. It was when we still had those big fat microphones in our faces.
Yeah.
All right. But we're professionals now. We don't do that. Okay. All right.
No, Ryan, do you know what we just did for the last 15 minutes is we mispronounced a word in 20 different ways. So let's take it easy with the professional thing. Let's take it easy.
All right, let's do, you want to do another question, or do you want to show your development environment for plugins? I need to get some water though before we do anything.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
All right.
Tell you
why don't you introduce the plugin development environment question while I get water? You ready?
Sure.
Go.
So somebody made the mistake of asking what my plugin development environment is like. And it wasn't actually, I think the specific question in the live stream was asking about building front-end assets. So building JavaScript and CSS and all that kind of stuff. Little did they know, Ryan, little did they know that this is kind of like going down the rabbit hole or looking at how many turtles are stacked together to build this thing, because I can't answer the question by just saying, this is what I use for building the CSS and JavaScript, because there's a whole environment and stuff built on top of it, which is how I build all of this stuff. So ultimately, what I want to do is I want to set up the environment that I use for testing on your machine, and then we're going to make you develop one of my plugins, is what we're going to do. And then once we have that environment up and running, then we're going to take a look at the actual build system that's in place for building this stuff. And I think what was going to make sense is if we go through this, we show people how to set up. And if you're watching this either live or you're watching it on a delay, you are welcome to follow and to set up all of this stuff the same way that we are, because it is all public. It's all out there. And let's talk about it just from a higher level point of view. So I have a development environment for plugins that is based on Docker. So it's a Dockerized environment. And the nice thing about that is I get a new computer, I can just pull it down, I can just fire it up, and there it is. And currently it's seeded with just some basic information in the database, but I can just add whatever additional stuff I want to it and then just dump that out, and then it'll be part of the repo and it will just be spun up. So it's really nice. It's easy to get the environment up. It's also nice from the perspective of anyone can be onboarded. You just say, all right, pull this down, spin it up, and away we go. So why don't we start with that, Ryan? So I'm going to shoot you the link to the repo that we're going to get. It's nystudio107/plugin dev. And that's the repo where it is. So we can maybe open that up, but we're not going to git clone it, okay? Because this is actually a Composer project, which means that we can use Composer, create project.
Okay, so am I doing this? This is the environment, right?
Yes.
All right. So let me just see. I think I already have this, so I probably need to remove it.
Yeah, remove it.
Okay.
All right.
So Composer, create project.
Create dash project, not project.
I can't type any of the.
It's Murphy's Law. I always type terrible when I'm on there. So what this is going to do, this is the same command that you use when you start a new craft project, but you're used to putting in craftcms/craft. In this case, you're going to put nystudio107/plugin dev, right?
Okay. So, all right, plug
don't do it
in
yet.
dev. Don't do it?
Yeah, but don't do it yet.
Okay.
So the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a little flag to the end of it, which is --no install.
What does that do? It doesn't fetch all of the dependencies, right?
What that does is it doesn't do a Composer install after it creates the project. And there's a specific reason we're doing this. No install. I'm just putting this in the chat so people can copy and paste it if they want. Andrea says, type like nobody's watching. That's hilarious. Because, yeah, it's like dance like nobody's watching or whatever.
Yeah. You haven't watched any of my videos if you think I'm a good typist.
I was dancing around in this room behind me. I was dancing yesterday, like dancing around, going crazy.
Wait, what?
I just had some music blaring. I was feeling it.
Did you just enter a different conversation? We're on the live stream now.
What?
Okay,
Who?
so no install. All right, you ready?
Yep. Do it. Okay.
There it is.
All right. So if you do an ls, you'll now have a plugin dev directory.
Yes. I do right here.
Okay. So before we do anything else, this is my local plugin development setup. So there are a couple of things that are specific to my setup. Okay, so from a higher level point of view, we have a host project that is just a craft install that we use that to test our plugins in. And then our plugins, we actually want those to be in local repositories somewhere on our computer. So somewhere else in our file system, you probably have a directory of craft plugins that you have down there, right? So let's find that directory.
It's right here. Hang on one second.
Yeah, and let's see what's in there.
So 2 plugins. There's this thing that I try to fix on a weekly basis. And then there's this one that's for team plans. Yep.
So, and the reason we do it this way is we want to have our local repo that we can use Git as we normally would use it to check stuff in and out. It shouldn't be part of the actual Dockerized test environment, right? It's a separate place. So what I want you to do is I want you to clone down one of my plugins into here. I want you to do git clone.
Git clone.
And
What are we doing? Image optimize?
Yeah, do image optimize. So it's https github.com/mystudio107/craft/image optimize. Yep. And I can send you the link if you need it.
Already got it.
Whoa, look at that. You're prepared.
So all this is doing is clipboard. All right, cool.
All this is doing is cloning down my repository. Now, there is one thing I do want you to do. You don't normally need to do this, but in this case, I want you to switch to a specific branch just because I have some work in progress that we're going to show. So go into the Craft Image Optimize. Yep. And yeah, go ahead and the branch that I want you to check out is feature / sizes UX.
Dash UX or?
Yep. Yeah, dash UX. I'm sorry.
All right.
There you go. All right. So we got that all pulled down. So we're good to go on that. Now we have to go back to our host environment. And there's just a couple of things that we're going to need to change. So probably the easiest thing to do is open this up in an editor. The first thing that I'm going to want you to change is go into the CMS directory. Yeah, just open it up. That's going to be the easiest thing to do. Oh, and we'll be back in a half hour while PHP Storm indexes the...
Not on gigs and gigs of memory I got here. Let's see.
All right, so to get a presentation mode under view.
Yeah. Okay. So what should I open?
So hit Command 1 so we can see the sidebar and disclose the sidebar, disclose CMS. So in this project, the CMS lives inside of the CMS directory. So you can think of that as your root craft directory or whatever you want to call it. So let's open up the composer.json.
All right.
And you can see it's installing a whole lot of my plugins, which makes sense because it's my plugin environment, right? And scroll down until we have a repositories key.
Right here? Why is it all squiggly line? What is it? Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's just complaining about some stuff missing from it, but it's okay. So right there, you see where it has the URL.
Yep.
So this is the actual directory on my actual Mac for where my plugins sit. So you're going to need to change this because your name's not Andrew, right? You're not Andrew?
Nope, not Andrew. And this is going to go to my the plugin directory. Is that right?
The directory we were just in that we cloned the image optimized plugin into. So this is where all of your repositories are. So you'll go back one.
Oh, back one. Yeah, I'll just edit it.
Yeah, because you're in the craft image optimized. Yeah, you can do that. That's fine. Okay.
So I want to leave the asterisk because I want everything after that. But I want to get rid of
There you go. So let's explain what this is. So this is a path repository. And what this is telling Composer is that when it says, hey, Composer, when you're doing a Composer install, when you're looking to resolve these packages that I'm requiring, I want you to look here first, right? So in a path repository is a local path on your computer, right? So whenever it does a Composer install, it's going to look in users, Ryan, projects, craft plugins, and then asterisk means look for anything that's in there. You could do it. You could do it on a per project basis, and you would have one item in this repositories array for each one. I just do a wildcard so that anything I have in that directory will automatically get priority and be installed before it goes out to the wire, to Packagist, or wherever it is to pull this stuff down, right?
All right.
So we got that in there, and let's copy that path again because we're going to need it again in one more spot.
Yep. And where do I go now?
So now we're going to go to the docker compose.yaml file.
Okay.
Yep. And search on Andrew is the easiest way to do it because remember, you're not Andrew. There you go. So what this is doing, so this is a volume. And what this is telling Docker is it's saying, hey, Docker, I want you to map this directory on my local computer to this other directory inside the Docker container. So it's what's effectively called a bind mount. So it's mounting. It doesn't matter. Just think of it as file sharing. Let's not get deep into Docker in terms of what's going on.
Yep.
But this is basically telling it that I want you to do naming it this way where it's the same in both Docker and local environment, because we're going to do the composer install inside of Docker. So it's going to create aliases, and we want them to be the same. You know, we want them to be pointing to the same place on our computer as well as inside Docker.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not going to work, and you're going to have a sad day, and it's going to be no good. So that's it. That's all that you've got to do. We're ready to go. So I think what you should do now is stay in PHP Storm and just open a terminal window.
Okay, I don't remember the shortcut. Do you remember the shortcut?
F12 usually.
Oh, F12. So function 12. Nope, didn't work.
What?
Tools.
All right.
Is it
Now go to View. Tool Windows.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Control F12. Yeah.
No,
okay.
Option F12.
Whatever. Option F12. Yeah.
Whatever.
Right,
it's not whatever. It's very specifically a different key.
Attribute, attribute, like it's all the same. You know.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Salad, salate. Okay, so we're in plugin dev here.
And Ben Croker is saying the path can be relative to, which is handy if your folder structure is always the same. That is true, but that is not true when it comes to Docker. So I thought it was actually, you actually can't have a relative path in this path mapping place that we're doing in Docker. So I figured it was easier just to use an absolute path for everything, just to make it consistent. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But normally he's right. In the composer.json, you could use a relative path if you weren't using a Dockerized setup like we're using here. But anyway, let's get back to the code.
Yep.
Let's take a look at it. And we're ready to go, Ryan. Let's do a docker-compose up.
So
all uppercase.
Yeah. Docker composer is what I always write. Docker compose up.
Yeah. I always do that too. So what this is telling Docker is it's saying, hey, Docker, I want you to read this Docker compose file, and I want you to spin something up. And it's spinning up all the containers that we need to do our local development. And you can see it's downloading a whole bunch of stuff, just like any install would do.
And we're getting this because we did a create project with your plugin dev repository. So
correct.
Docker compose there, it has the instructions for what to spin up.
Mm-hmm. And when this thing is fired up, one of the things that, and don't worry about this error, while it is loading everything up, you see where it says it will retry in 30 seconds? That's how you know.
Why worry when it says fatal? Seems like it's okay to me.
Well, the fatal error I couldn't control, but the other part I could. So the issue here is, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it takes work to coordinate what container starts up before what. And this Q container is based on the PHP container, which is still busy doing the composer install. So it's not there yet. But as soon as the PHP is done installing, then this thing will run, and that's why there's a little retry on it. That's all it is. And that retry also then tells it to restart the queue. So basically, there's a separate container that runs the queue automatically for you. So for processing stuff and all that kind of good things, you know?
Yep.
Oh, I swear that it pauses on this place where it asks for money. And there's probably just like a while loop inside there. All right. So as soon as you see Craft is installed,
connections.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're ready to go. So what I want you to do is in a side-by-side window, I want you to open up a web browser and go to localhost 8000.
Okay.
And I know we're doing some stuff in here that some people do already, but do in a different way or have never seen before. So if you have questions, by all means, feel free to ask those questions. So here's our awesome site. Woo-hoo!
Woo! Right? All right, and you want me to have the code? I need to take this out of.
No, you can leave it in presentation mode.
No, you can't go.
No, you can. You just have to take it out of full screen mode.
Oh.
But leave it in. So no, the little green. No.
I got it.
Okay.
Don't tell me what to do.
All right. I'm sorry, but literally, I'm supposed to. That's literally why I'm here.
All right. Let me fix some of this here. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is our site, and let me go to /admin.
Yeah, and you can hide the terminal window for now. So, and this is listed in the README and the repo. So the default login is andrew@nystudio107.com. Just hit the minus sign on the right, and that will hide the terminal.
Thank you.
Yep.
And what's the password?
And then let me in. It's a very sophisticated password.
Do you also use that for your bank account?
I do.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. So this is pretty cool. Like literally all we had to do was create a project, change a couple of things to point it to our craft plugins. And then, we got a site that's up and running here. So in the little hamburger menu, let's navigate to plugins. So settings, plugins. And let's uninstall Image Optimize.
Okay.
Yep. And then scroll down and then reinstall it.
You just want confetti, don't you?
I do. All right, so great. So we got this. Okay, no big deal. Everyone's seen this before. What I want you to do is in the project window on the left in the editor, hit Command-1.
What's the file?
And well, let's drill down. So go to CMS,
okay.
Disclose CMS, Vendor, NY Studio 107. And then scroll down to Image Optimize. Now notice something here. Right. Notice that there's a little symbol there. So what it did is when it did a Composer install, it didn't copy the GitHub repo into our project. It did a symlink to that directory that we set up earlier where we told it a path repository was. Right. So now if we make any changes, it's going to be to that actual repository. So let's disclose Craft Image Optimize. And let's go to Source Templates. And then go to Welcome. And then hit Command-1 so we can see. Yep. All right. So what I want you to do is see where it says thanks for using Image Optimize. Just go ahead and change that to something else. Welcome to Ryan's Go Bag, or something. Whatever you. Anything works. Euros, attributes. Thanks for tolerating Andrew. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
All right.
Now reload the page. Okay.
So
no
you've
big deal.
proven that they're linked, that we're...
Yep.
Okay.
But here's what I wanted to go further is switch to your terminal window and go into that local Git repo. Yep, we're already there. So just let's see what Git changes we have. Like what changes were made to any files in here.
Boom, there it is.
There we go. So it shows that it modified that file. So now if you wanted to, if this was your repo, you could just commit this change and push it, because I just made a awesome change to my plugin, right? So this in itself is pretty cool, but I do want to show you one other neat thing about this environment, and this is really kind of a testament to Docker. What I want you to do is go to Utilities in the CMS.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Utilities, and then, yeah, okay, so right there. So you see where it says that we're running the database driver MySQL. Something that I have to do with some frequency is I have to make sure that some of my plugins that use the database directly work with Postgres as well as MySQL. Typically doing that means setting up an additional environment for MySQL, one for MySQL, one for Postgres. And it's kind of annoying. It's kind of a pain. Yeah. So I baked something into this particular setup that it makes it easier to do that. So let's take a look at that. So hit in the editor, hit Command-1, or nope.
Oh, not at the env. Sorry. Yeah. I want to go
to hit Command-1 so people can see the struct. Okay.
Come on now.
So this is the standard db.php that lives in the config directory. Yeah. And so what's in here should look very familiar until you get down to where I added these additional little bits of PHP code. So what I'm doing is I'm merging the base config with MySQL config because I want it to run MySQL. Now, if I want to run Postgres, what I do is just copy the Postgres config variable and paste it where the MySQL config is. Yep.
Save it. And now?
Save it, and then reload over there. Yeah,
different database? Fine. Okay.
Nah, there were updates to the project config. You got a Andrew at NY Studio 107.
Oh yeah.
I should probably change that default to something generic like admin or something.
That's what I use, but you don't have to.
But look,
boom,
look at that.
So same project. So when you're building the Docker environment, you're obviously spinning up a Postgres container and a MySQL or MySQL container.
Yep.
And then you're loading the database in both.
What I'm doing is there's a separate database dump for each one. So, right. But you make changes in one and then you switch to the other, and project config will apply the schema changes for you anyway. Right. So, and that's actually what you just saw there, is that I made an addition to the schema in the MySQL one. When you switch to Postgres, it then applied it.
So as a plugin developer, this just gives you the ability to just, maybe you build a feature, you toggle Postgres, and you're just like, I just want to make sure that this is good for the Postgres crowd.
Yeah. And it's, if you don't do plugins that are using the database directly, then you may never need it.
Right.
But it's still nice to be able to test it in both. However, if you do any kind of work with the database at all, the Yi layer is like 90%. And the other 10%, you're kind of on your own, or you have to special case per database type. So it's really handy to just kind of be able to go back and forth. The other thing about an environment like this that's kind of nice is you can set up like a bunch of sections, assets, all that kind of fun stuff. And then that'll be available everywhere, so your test suite or your test bed will have the same stuff no matter what computer you're using. If you're a group, no matter who is using the thing. So you can set up like a realistic kind of test bed for you to use and do stuff with,
So what about if I'm like working, like a lot of your plugins have a lot of control panel UI. Like I'm thinking like SEOmatic and things like that.
Yep.
So when you're working on the UI, like are we getting the advantage? We've talked about before, like hot module reloading. Do you get that advantage as well here, to where I can just change code?
So here's where we go. Here's where we're getting into we're going in deep, Ryan. We're going in deep. So get ready.
All right, let's do it.
So
9 minutes.
It's all well and good.
Just kidding.
I have 9 minutes. Oh my God. Okay. So it's all well and good that we could actually switch to the terminal real quick. Either terminal, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Any terminal. Yeah.
I'm there. I'm here.
Okay. So do Docker container ls. So this is going to tell us what Docker containers are running.
Oh, of course it's not hyphenated. Why would it be?
Yeah. Docker space container ls. Sorry. All right. So this shows all the containers that are running. And that's the other fun thing that I should have mentioned to you, is that there is a debug container that is automatically running Xdebug for you.
Yep. And we actually covered that in another live stream where we talked about toggle that in Chrome, for example, and all the requests go through that container versus through the standard.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go in depth with it here, but the nice benefit is you probably saw, if you're watching the live stream, so Ryan is streaming this stuff live, and still the CP was quite responsive in terms of navigating and doing stuff. So you get that performance when you're doing normal work. When you need to actually set breakpoints and use Xdebug to step through stuff, all you got to do is click a little icon and it will go to the right container and you'll be able to do that. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. If you are a plugin developer and you've struggled with getting Xdebug up and running in your local environment, here it is, shrink wrapped, ready to go, for doing your stuff. But I wanted to show you these containers for another reason. What we want to do, it's all well and good to make some template changes and hit reload, but we're not cavemen, Ryan. We're developing like some kind of crazy UX. We don't want to have to hit the reload button when we're doing all this stuff, right? I mean, that's crazy,
Yeah.
So
I'm not setting my laptop on fire with Docker for no reason. So let's get some value out of it.
How dare you? How dare you? All right. So what I want to show you is what we're going to do now is do an ls-al inside of this plugin directory. So what I've gone and done is I have Dockerized the build chain for my plugins. So you can see in this plugin that we just cloned, there's a Docker file, and the build chain is a directory in there. We don't need to go in there yet.
Oh, okay.
So the first thing we need to do, so there's also a make file in here. So make files are older than dirt. So they've been around since the 70s. They're like the GOAT build system, and everyone else said, oh, I'm going to make my own build system. And make is over here going...
As in greatest of all time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And make is over here going, hey, I'm here. Like, why are you making your own? Why are you reinventing? Anyway, so make has been around for a long time. I'm kind of using it and abusing it as a way to have local aliases. So I want it to be easy to type certain things that are longer. So yeah, and we can look at the details of the make file here real quick. So on the left where you see dist, think of that as a command. It's technically a rule, but think of it as a command, right? So there's dist, there's Docker, and there's a few other ones in there. And then there's a whole bunch of gobbledygook that they run when you type them. So just think of it as when I run npm, it's going to run all this other stuff. So let's exit out. So the first thing that we need to do is let's make our Docker container. So type make Docker. And what this is going to do is it's going to build a Docker container based on my or one of my nodes Docker containers. And this has got our build chain stuff in it. So now this made the container, but we still need to do an npm install. So do make npm install. And whenever you see make, you can just think of it as it's running the command inside of the Docker container. So if anyone's used Nitro, you might do like nitro npm install. Make is kind of doing the same thing. It's just making sure that the command that you type is being run inside of the Docker container. And this might actually be a good time that if you did want to take a look at the build chain, we could take a look at it real quick. So switch to the editor. And the reason I say that is it's an npm install.
Yeah.
So npm installs can take a little bit of time.
This is where we'd have an advertisement break if we had ads.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the build chain.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and hide everything. Well, no, yeah, no, don't.
Sorry.
All right, so go back to vendor NY Studio 107.
Oh, okay.
Craft image optimize. I told you to hide everything. It's my bad. Craft image optimize. Yep. All right, so let's take a look at our build chain folder. So this is a Webpack 5 config. This is actually a scaled down version of the config that I use for front end development. The nice thing about it is the way it is built is modular. So by scaling it down, literally all I do is just remove a couple modules from it. Okay. So let's take a look.
I don't want to get too far in the weeds on Webpack though.
We won't.
We'll lose everyone. Okay.
Relax.
All right.
We won't. But go ahead and everyone's used to like a super hairy Webpack config and they're like, I don't know what's going on. Double click on webpack.dev.js. There it is. There's your Webpack config, right?
So what does this get you in plugin development then? Like, what are we about to see? It gets you what?
So this should be pretty semantically readable. It says, I want you to use these Webpack configs, and each one of these things is a separate compartmentalized Webpack config, and then it combines them all together, and there's your Webpack config for local development. So what does this give you?
Yep.
This gives you the ability to develop using TypeScript if you want. It's optional. It allows you to write using modern JavaScript that will get transpiled down to IE9 compatible JavaScript if you want it to. It has an image loader that will optimize your images for you. It will do that. And it automatically will compile and run your Vue components. And it will also run a Webpack dev server for you that allows you to do hot module replacement while you're doing the development inside of your inside of the Craft CP.
That's what I want to see.
I'm telling you, man, if you do any amount of JavaScript and framework work, it just makes it so incredible to work with. You will never be hitting the reload button. Even if all you're doing is CSS styling, it just makes it so nice. I have the feeling that it's probably not done, so you're going to have to go check on your npm make.
I got an error.
Awesome. Just run it again. Hold on. Scroll back up. Let me look at the error.
Yep.
While it's doing it. Scroll back up.
More?
Yep. Unsupported platform. No, that's not the error, though. That's not the error. Scroll back up. We're not even at the actual error yet. There we go. Checking whether the C compiler works? No. What? Ryan, we literally did this last night.
Yeah. Did I do it in... It shouldn't matter if I did it in PHP Storm or not.
No. It's not going to make any difference. All right, scroll down. Same error
again. Yeah.
Okay. Do Docker image ls. And do we have, actually do it again, but do it, do pipe, type just image, pipe grep image. Okay. So what I want you to do is Docker image rm and then paste in the NY Studio, the build chain.
This one right here?
Yep.
Oop.
Oh, that's...
Do you need the ID for that? Did we miss a step? Because we did do this yesterday.
Oh, well, no, that shouldn't be it. Do a do an ls-al for me. This directory didn't exist before, right?
No, I mean, I
go cd build chain ls. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, and I'm only doing this because we're live on a live stream. So I want you to stop the containers that are running.
All right, so Docker.
It's wherever you started them, so I think it's, yeah.
Where did I start them? Was it in the option?
It was in PHP Storm, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yep, there you go. So just hit Control C. All right, so then there's a command that I sent you in Discord, and this is what I call Docker Nuke. So we're just going to flatline everything, start from 0, because we know it works, because we did it last time. So we should be good to go. So do that, and then I want you to go back to the plugin And let's redo the steps that we did there. So go back to terminal. You can just let that go. Just let it do its thing.
Yep.
And I want you to go into the plugin directory, though, the other tab. The image optimize. Yep. All right. So now, yep, there you go. So now we're going to do these steps once again. So we're going to do make Docker. And because we nuked everything, it's pulling it down from the internet.
That's what we were trying to avoid, right? But
yeah. But what you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. We all know how fun it is when demos don't work.
Watching Docker install.
All right. So now what I want you to do is type make npm install.
Whoa, make npm install.
Yeah. So this is where it failed last time.
Yep.
And now the other thing that I want you to do is this is where we're gonna bring your machine to its knees. So go back to PHP Storm.
Not this thing. This thing is a beast. All right, PHP Storm.
We'll see. Yeah. So now what I want you to do is, so we got to bring these back up again. So do docker -compose up. And these also, oh my God, you were so lazy. Just type docker -compose up. All right. So now this is going to have to do the same thing. It's going to have to pull everything down because it doesn't exist.
Why is there smoke coming out from the back of my computer? Is that part of this?
That's npm doing its install.
Good thing I'm on fiber. Same thing?
Yeah. Looks like it.
No.
Oh, it's still going? Okay. Good.
No, it finished. It built. It died at.
Oh, okay. Okay. So just let it go. It's gonna. Oh, it actually did it.
It did it. Well, it's done. Nice.
Why was it so quick? Oh, it's because some things were already installed before. I think some things were already locally installed before. So that's really interesting to me that this thing.
Docker.
What's that?
We're just waiting for Docker now.
Yeah, it's fine. So what I want you to do now is over in the terminal window. So now we're going to do make npm run dev.
Like that?
Yep. And hit return.
What's...
So this is our containerized build system that is running Webpack 5, which is a Webpack config, a modular Webpack config that is way better than Jalen's Mare Webpack config or whatever. I'm messing with Jalen.
Don't call anyone out.
He knows what I'm talking about. I'm messing.
Okay.
And so this is running in its own little containers, its own build system. So just to prove it, what I want you to do, so go back to the terminal window so we can see what it's doing. And okay, so it built some stuff. And if you scroll up a little bit, it's going to tell you that it's running off of, it'll say Webpack dev server is running off of, there you go, localhost 8080. So let's copy that URL.
Yep.
Yeah, I made a mistake. There's a trailing slash on there. I'll fix it.
Wow, that's a rookie error there for sure.
I know.
Let's see.
Huh. Yeah. Just hit return.
It doesn't load.
What? What's you talking?
Is that a Kim's Convenience thing?
Yeah, I love Kim's Convenience. Really?
Really? Nothing's working.
Somebody is outside my door.
Huh.
I think someone's trying to deliver something.
The demo's not working. Andrew has to go.
That's funny.
All right, so yeah, it's not loading for some reason. Why don't you talk through what this would have done if it worked?
No. Something's not right here. So I don't believe, well, it says it's up and running. It says it built everything, but it's not exposed on the local host. How could that possibly be? And it's definitely 8080 that you're going to. It's not 8000.
8080. I can try like a different browser or something.
It's not HTTPS, right? No. Huh, okay, go back to the terminal. Control C. Let's kill our dev server. That is just crazy. I'm sort of wondering if it's like something wasn't fully or properly installed.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you rm-rf build chain / node_modules. Yep. And then do rm build chain / package-lock.json.
Okay.
And then just do a
run dev again?
Nope.
No?
No, there's nothing there now.
Oh,
do
yeah.
npm run install. I'm sorry, not run install. What am I doing? Make npm install. I'm sorry.
Make npm install.
Yep.
All right.
So Andrew says there's got to be a better way. This is the better way. I don't know why it didn't work. We did this last night, and my only guess is that there was something stale, something or other left over from us setting up and running. Ryan will vouch for me.
Yeah, no,
we set this up last night, and it worked perfectly without a hitch. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Ben says
I don't know
try again, which I agree. I don't know if we.
Well, it's just what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So go back to let's check out the actual project Docker container being spun up. Let's see where that's at. All right, so that should be up and ready. So you should be able to go to localhost 8000.
All right, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's up and running.
Good.
There are pending changes in the YAML, so you can go ahead and apply them if you want. Buy now. Yeah, if you want to. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
We'll leave it as it is for now.
Just leave it the way it is. This is just me. I think I left the project out of sync or something like that. But let's, yeah.
All right, so let's take a look over here.
Oh, it's because you're on Postgres. So go back to the DB and change it back to MySQL. It's because I made changes in one database and I didn't apply them and then commit the database to the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just need to be more careful about that and do that. So switch that back, and then you'll have to re-log in again.
All right. There we are.
Yeah. So now you're not going to have any of these issues anymore. And this is my bad. I made changes in one and committed the project config, but didn't do a redump of the database.
Yeah.
But it would still work. Like you could still work through it and do it. All right. We're going to do this, Ryan. We're going to make it work. So go back to terminal. Yeah. Yeah. See, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So it's recompiling this stuff from source. And this is an annoying, yeah, it's an annoying thing, but there are certain binaries that you're supposed to be able to pull down a precompiled thing, but it doesn't recognize it when it's running on Alpine, which is what we're running. So it's actually redoing it right in here. But while this thing is working the way it's doing its thing, what our end goal here is that we want to be able to do hot module reloading of CSS and JavaScript inside of the CP. So if you switch back to let's look at the source code real quick again. And so go to image optimize, so hit Command 1. And what I want you to go to is the main plugin.php. So it's imageoptimize.php. It's down there a little bit.
This blocking my... oh, the main class file? Okay, got it.
Yeah. So right in there. All right, so what I want you to do is search on manifest service.
Yep.
Yeah, again and again. Keep going until you get to some code where there's a set.
Yep.
Okay. So, and then hit yeah, there you go. So, and Ben Croker is going to love this because it's all this fancy PHP stuff. So what this is doing is it's effectively setting a service method or a component on our class that we have here, right? Or sorry, on our plugin. So we're adding a manifest plugin or a manifest service to our plugin class.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're passing in is what's known as a dependency injection container. It's a fancy, if you want to Google it, go ahead. But basically the idea is that we're passing in all the dependencies that this thing needs to configure itself. And let's demystify exactly what that is. So class is kind of obvious. So we just want an object of the type manifest service class, right? That's the object we want. And then we see a couple of other things down there. We see asset class, we see dev server manifest path, dev server public path, right? So these are certain settings that would be used to configure this class. And command click on manifest service. And let's take a look at what's in there. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that this is just an object that extends component. And then there's some public properties, and they should look really familiar. Asset class, right? If you scroll down a little, so the things that we are passing in that array are just what these properties should be initialized to when we create this new thing. And this manifest service is, think of it as TwigPack Lite. So if you've ever used TwigPack, it's a plugin that it will read a manifest.json generated by Webpack or Mix or Asset Rev or whatever it is that you want to deal with, and it will pull it into Craft so that you can use the assets there. And it works transparently with hot module reloading. So if you have a dev server running, it will run the stuff directly off of the dev server. So what I did is I created this little manifest service class, which is a part of TwigPack, but pulled off and it goes into each plugin, and it's what implements that dev server stuff. So you can go back to the code.
Okay.
And go back to the plugin code, the main plugin class.
All right.
You're passing it. You're right there. It's right there.
Yes.
There you go. Right? And
yep.
So this is what makes available sort of like the TwigPack routines that you might want for loading this stuff in. And then we also have this craft variable that we're setting. And this is really normal for plugins. Like whenever you want to hang something off of craft, so you want to do craft dot image optimize do something, you add a variable to your plugin, right? But command click on image optimize variable there.
Image optimize variable. Yep.
Yep. And you'll notice that this variable extends manifest variable. So command click on manifest variable. Ignore all that. So this is another class that I am providing that all of my plugins use, that it allows me to have, scroll down a little bit and you'll see, allows me to have some methods like register JS modules, register CSS modules, et cetera, et cetera. And this allows you via Twig to pull in these CSS and JavaScript modules. And the reason you would want to do this, as opposed to the standard craft way of doing it, is this will transparently use the hot module, it will transparently use the Webpack development server when that's available, And when it's not, it will fall back on using the regular old craft method of injecting resources. So it allows you to transparently use it. So let's go back to our split screen view. And I think we're probably going to be done.
As in, they're not going to let us live stream anymore? Or
we want the terminal window, though. We want to see where we are in the terminal window.
Yeah. Looks like it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. So now what I want you to do is make npm run dev.
The moment of
and
truth.
Everything is going to work. Andrea and Ben, I know.
Are they hating on you in the chat?
Oh, yeah. They're like, oh,
did they call us tool bags? Did Ben call us a tool bag?
They called us tool bags, and they're like, all this tooling, and it doesn't work. It does work, okay? I guarantee you, I use this stuff every day, all the time. It's the curse of the live stream. We flatlined everything, and we did it from scratch, and everything is working beautifully, right?
Curse of the live stream. It's my favorite metal song. Yeah. All right.
Well, let's make sure it's actually working. So now go back to our split view where we've got the editor on one side and the browser on the other.
All right.
And it's for anyone who waited. So what I want you to do is go back to I want to be in the CMS. I don't want to be there. Yep. All right. So what I want you to do is uninstall, image optimize, and reinstall it. Same thing we did before. We're going for the confetti. We're going for the confetti. Yep.
Reinstall. Where'd it go? Man, so confusing. How?
Right there. It's right there.
Where?
Image optimize. You just passed it. Right there. Yeah. Install.
That's always confused by this. All right, install. Confetti. Am.
All right. So now you're like, okay, big deal. Like we did this before. What's the big deal? View the developer tools.
Okay.
Reload the page. Oh my God. It's not working, Ryan.
It's supposed to be going for HMR, right?
It's not working. So why is port 8080 not working?
Yeah, it's still not working.
Is something running on port 80? 8080?
I don't think so. Oop. Let's image optimized build chain right here.
Yeah, it should be running on port 8080, right?
See, nothing else is.
Yeah.
Let me see if they're.
I know what it is, Ryan.
What is it?
Oh my God, we're so stupid.
Wait, why are you including me on this?
All right, I'm so stupid.
Okay.
This is not anything that's wrong with the tooling. This is wrong with the tool bag. Okay, here we go. So go to the terminal window. I can't believe it. Oh my God.
You didn't run it.
Go to the terminal. No.
Okay.
Hit Command C.
Yeah.
Shut down this thing. This is so dumb. So do CD build chain. And do ls-al. So I need you to copy the example.env to .env. So there's no environment running locally. So it didn't know where it was supposed to load its stuff. So to go back and then to make npm run dev. Oh my God.
So it would have worked originally.
It totally would have worked.
But we haven't seen it work yet. Are you're prematurely celebrating here?
It's gonna work. I'm guaranteeing it.
So it's running. Let's see.
Yeah. Now reload the page. You don't need to go there.
No, I want to see if it runs first. Boom. All right. Reload. There you are. HMR. Okay. So now I can do my fun coding here. Oh, I'm in the wrong file. I should be in what? Welcome.
Sure.
This is, let's see.
And you can type whatever you want and then hit save.
Hit save. Bam.
All right, so that automatically reloaded the page, but that's just live reload, like that we don't really care about. That's nice, but there's some more interesting stuff that we can be doing. So hit Command 1 and let's go to source.
Hang on, I have another window that you guys can't see. All right, source, yeah.
Asset bundles.
Asset bundles, okay.
Source.
Circ.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So sure. Why don't we do the view one first? So go to disclose view and double click on confetti.
Yeah.
And just change. So there's a shape there. So change rect to heart. And hit save.
All right. So this is different than just the reloading here.
The page is not reloading. The JavaScript is recompiling, and a patched version of the JavaScript is reinserted and executed. So the page is actually not reloading. So you can type, just type heart or whatever.
No, so rect is with this.
Yeah, rect is square, and I forget what the other ones are. Circle is one. Yeah.
Whee!
Okay. So this is still, it's nice, but it still doesn't necessarily illustrate all of the benefit of doing this.
Right.
So beard is not going to work.
It's
not going to work, right?
Okay.
No. So what I want you to do is go to CSS.
Okay.
Yep. And components, global. And do the standard thing where you can just do like asterisk, bracket, border, 3-pix solid red, something like that. I know, you always have to do something different. Solid orange, okay. And then hit save, and it's going to HMR all of your CSS changes too. So you can just be working in your CSS, making whatever changes you want. You can do, like Ryan does horrible stuff. Like, what were you doing? You're like setting the body to display none or something like that? Or image display none.
Yeah. That was a good one. So body display none. That's my favorite trick for CSSing.
Yeah. So congratulations, you broke
Project's
everything.
Done. It's not broken.
Great.
It's just not showing.
All right. So let's get rid of that. And let's just show one more thing.
Okay.
This is where I think it will really kind of start to pay off. So what I want you to do is go to, in the CMS, go to settings fields.
All right. Settings. Fields.
And click on optimized images. And I want you to scroll down until you see something that says aspect ratio. And this is all a work in progress, so ignore the, and bring that toolbar window down a little bit. The console, or get rid of it. Yeah, that's fine. So this is something that I'm working on for image optimize. It's not done yet. But go ahead and click on different aspect ratios. Like, go ahead and click through and change it to none over there on the left.
None.
Or whatever you want. But you can see everything dynamically changes as you do that.
SVGs, right, is what you're using here.
Yeah, so it's rendering those out to be SVGs. But everything in this is all one big dynamic view component. So let's take a look at that. Go to view and go to sizes container.
Oop.
Just scroll down a little. Yeah.
Sizes container. Okay.
So this is the container component for everything that's in here. So if you wanted to, you could just type something in here and hit save, and it will instantly appear. What are you doing?
Is it Sawtooth? What's it called? What do you call it?
No. We'll change the code later, but just for a second, just type some text in here somewhere, like inside of a div or, well, okay, yeah, that works too.
There it is.
La la la. Yeah. So you can see that you can change that stuff, and it's instantly in there. You want to change the sawtooth, so let's do that. So hit Command 1. We're going to go to a different component. This is a component that we actually include. It's the image preview component. Nope.
Oh.
Yep. And so you'll find the saw. So here we'll actually change some code. So this is drawing this little nun thing is actually a SVG polygon, and the little sawtooth is something that I had to build from hand. And so here's the code that actually does it, and you can just change this code to be whatever you want. So you were doing some horrible stuff when we were demoing this. So change the X step to something else or the Y step to something else, and go ahead. Do what you're doing. It's right there.
Let's see. What did I forget where I was.
Let X step and let Y step. Those were the ones that you were changing. Let
Number
X
equals.
Step. Yeah. This is TypeScript. That's what that little type definition. Just change it to a constant and change it to whatever you want. Oh my God.
Whoa, look at that.
Okay.
That's so cool.
But see.
But the idea is that it's re-rendering those SVGs dynamically.
Yeah.
Or not. Like,
it's components all the way down, and it will dynamically patch whatever changes you make. There's no reload. You don't have to change anything in the browser. You stay focused in the editor, and the browser is just there to display the result of what you're doing, and you'll instantly see it. And so Andrea had a valid complaint earlier. She's saying, oh, this tooling, this tooling, why spent more time on tooling?
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Yes, we spent some time getting this set up. No, keep it on the code so people can see the stuff that you're messing around with.
I was going to let you have a full shot for your rant, but go ahead.
Nah, that's okay. Yeah, there's some time setting it up, but I'm literally, you can get all of this stuff up and running in 30 minutes or less. We ran into a problem. Who knows what it was? Something stale was going on somewhere. I don't know what it was. But literally, you can have this up and running in 30 minutes or less. And from then on, you're done. You're going to be spending days to weeks to months developing the application. And that's where your gains are going to be. I mean, yeah, there's some tooling that you had to set up, but the amount of time that you're going to save and the developer experience that you're going to have when you're building the thing, which is the long part of this. Like the long part is the building part. It's not the tooling part. You want to make it easy and nice for that long-term thing. And I have this scaffolding set up for every plugin that I write. I sit down, I know what the environment is in there, and I'm good to go. You know what I mean? And Andrea is saying observation, not a complaint. No, it's a valid complaint. I think it's a very valid complaint to say that we're spending too much time on tooling. So it's important to remind ourselves, well, why? Why are we spending that time on tooling? And the idea is for the long game. There's the immediate gain would be, let's just start writing stuff. Not a big deal to reload the browser every time. Not a big deal to not have things componentized, all that kind of stuff. But then you onboard someone else, and then it's a pain in the ass to onboard them. And then you're doing this development for months and months and months, and you're losing efficiency, every time that you're doing the work on this thing. So it's kind of like being pound wise, penny foolish if you don't invest some time in making sure that DX is good. Now, the tooling setup that you use is going to be different depending on what you're writing. If you're not writing something that doesn't have any view components in it, doesn't have any elaborate JavaScript in it, okay, you don't need to be using the type of setup that I'm using here. But if you are using one of these front-end frameworks, you are going to save so much time by using one of these. And it's no fun for us to do the stream and have it not work perfectly the first time. And ironically, it was likely some artifact of us making sure it was going to work perfectly. I don't know what it was. We can figure it out later and do an autopsy.
Yeah, next time we're going to do it live.
However, you can see what the experience really should be like when we started from scratch and we did them both from scratch, and away we go. So hopefully people won't be scared off by that. I did see some people left the live stream when we started having the errors. People were like, oh, screw this, tooling sucks.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But no, I think it's cool. That's why I wanted to show, and this was an answer to a question that we got about showing the development environment. So
yeah, and there is one other part that we need to show real quick before we wind down. So we showed the HMR. So go back to our side-by-side view.
Yep.
And so we showed what the hot module reloading is like when we're developing stuff, and that's fantastic. It's awesome. But now we got to ship something to production, Ryan. we got to go to production. So what I want you to do is go back to terminal and hit Control-C to stop our dev server.
So we got to build for prod. Yeah.
Yep. So when we're ready to ship, we finished our project. We're good to go. We do make npm run build. And I guess we didn't explain, so it's a good time to explain. Switch back to the editor and go to build chain package.json. Build chain up one. Keep scrolling up. Keep scrolling up.
There it is.
Scroll up. There you go. Package.json.
Yep.
And find scripts. Scroll down till you find scripts. So whenever we're typing npm run something, it's running one of these scripts. All right. Yep. So when we do npm run build, it's literally, this is what it's running. It's running Webpack, passing in the production config, showing the progress. So real quick, let's look at the production config for Webpack. Webpack production configs right below. Nope.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yep. So this is our production config. So these are all the Webpack configs that are used to build the final thing, you know? And it should be done now in our terminal window.
There it is.
Yep. So I want you to do, see what has changed in Git. Git status, yep. So this shows you that it built a whole bunch of stuff for us, right?
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
What I want you to, and these are all the assets. It built the maps, it built the JavaScript, it built the compress, it will gzip anything that's over a certain size so your browser can optimally deliver it. It will do all that kind of stuff. I want you to scroll up a little bit and we should have something in the dist directory. No?
Nothing in there. Where am I? There's not a dist directory.
Yeah, there is. So good. Okay. CD source.
Oh, in source. Okay.
Asset bundles. Image optimize. And now I want to go to dist. Dist is everything we just built. And what I want you to do is type open report-legacy. Yep. So this is a report on all of the bundles that we built and exactly what is in them, how big they are, and everything that's in there. And if you just close that little arrow on the left over there, you just hover over it. This will show you all of the bundles and their sizes. And you can see that they're all, pretty well optimized, pretty small. But it's kind of a neat visualization. It shows you all of the stuff that we built. And that's all you got to do when you ship to production. And I actually have another shortcut I put in there called make dist. And what that does is it makes a Docker container. Mm-hmm. It does the npm install for it. It builds the documentation and it builds the distribution version. So it builds everything in one command. And then I just push to Git and I'm done.
Awesome.
So that's it. So I apologize for everyone for the tech fail. Maybe Ryan, you can edit it out.
The whole thing's going.
All right. Do the whole thing.
The whole thing. Awesome. Yeah, no, this is super cool. So hopefully the person that asked the question now has their answer and everyone else can has a glimpse into how much thought you put into your plugin development environment, which I think is interesting. And time obviously spent, but that's like this is what you do, right? Is the plugin development. Like it's your office. It's where you do all of your work. So it needs to be optimized for what you want to do. Yeah,
but a lot of this stuff is leveraging. So I already built a Webpack 5 build config for the front end, right? So the Webpack 5 config that I'm using for the plugins is that. It's that with just a couple of things taken out, right? And I already built Twig pack for front end dev that does the mapping between manifest and the dev server and all that kind of stuff. Right. So that little module thing that we showed off, that is just kind of a Twig pack light-ish kind of thing. So all of this stuff is leveraging front-end work. It's just bringing it into the realm of plugin dev.
Yep.
Really all it is.
Cool. All right. Well, since we went long, we're gonna wrap here, and want to let everyone know we are live every the first and third Thursday of the month, and we'll be back again in 2 weeks for another live stream. Submit your questions, craftquest.io/on-call, and you can add your question into the queue, and we'll get to that. Or we always like to go into Stack Exchange as well and drop in and see what's going on there. Andrew, thank you as always. And we will we'll see everyone on the next live stream. Take care.
It's worth it, I swear.